Well, it was just my imagination once again.
I love your voice. It's like
Then the next thing you know, I'm like,
Yeah.
Crike and Crike.
oftentimes you see this thing where it's like, oh, people are abusing the welfare system. Well, maybe 1 out of 100 people are fucking abusing the welfare system, and maybe even greater than that. I don't care. I don't see it. But the point is that it's like, even if they were, what do you think they're making? $100,000 a year off the welfare system? It's not happening.
Yeah.
These are people that are just getting a meal. Like, take it easy.
Yeah. Here's my my favorite welfare fantasy that I have heard repeated so many times. Oh, this guy walks out of the welfare office and gets into his Cadillac and drives away.
Right.
Really?
Yeah. You saw ODB do that. That's it.
Are you sure that's what's happening?
Yeah.
You know, this story started way before ODB, and I just wonder why it get like. I'm against groupthink. I'm against just repeating something just because it sounds good. Like, think about it. Dive in and think about it. Like, okay, in order for you to believe this story about someone getting out of the welfare office and getting into a Cadillac, you have to assume that means that it's his Cadillac. It could be his, a relative or friend, right, that loaned him the car so that he could go get his welfare check back in the days where there was welfare checks. You would have to, or maybe it is his car, but he got it 5 years ago when everything was fine. Because to your point, most Americans cannot go more than 2 weeks without income.
Right.
So if someone gets hurt, or if the breadwinner dies, this radically affects things, right? But back to the welfare guy. The thing that fascinates me the most is that you have to pick random people to follow to their car.
Right.
Right. How is that happening? You just you wait outside the welfare. Like, first of all, what is your life like that you're waiting outside the welfare office?
Right. Yeah.
But so you see how the story just falls apart the more you examine it. Like this thing is an archetypal idea, and yes, did people defraud the welfare office? Yes, absolutely. Is that the norm? No. And the better technology gets, the less and less that's feasible to do.
Correct.
Okay. So why is that your whole argument? Is it so your whole thing is that because somebody sometime defrauds the welfare office that it's no good for anybody? What kind of logic is that? It's just a lame excuse to justify your stupidity.
Listen, people are always, it's everything. Like, if you talk about abortion rights, right? Like, you talk to the people that are like, oh, pro-life. You're pro-life,
yeah,
right? But here's the thing. In many cases, people believe that it's like, oh, well, there's a lady, and I've heard this story a few times. There's some lady who's using abortions as a type of birth control. In other words, every time she'll have sex unprotected all the time. Right. And as she, and every time she gets pregnant, she just goes and gets in a bobo.
Sure.
That's it.
That's how it works. That makes sense. Yeah.
Right. But let's say that there's some girl out there that is doing that, right? That's not, she has to deal with that herself, right? She has to deal with that on her own. That's gonna affect her hard later on. That's gonna fuck her shit up. But that's for her to deal with. Why are you concerned about that? Right.
And the other question that I have is, does anybody know this woman?
Right. I'd love to meet
Like,
her.
have you ever known, not only directly known, but have you even ever heard of a woman that uses abortions as birth control?
Right. I have not.
I haven't
No.
either.
Yeah. But this is the thing. This is the mythical creature. Just like the guy that, gets out of the welfare office and steps into his Cadillac or his Benz or his limo or whatever the fuck it is. And, it's the telephone game, right? Like somebody said a story that was completely benign and, and it became this ridiculous thing. Because
Next thing you know, we're hearing stories about guys walking on water and raising the dead and feeding the masses with bread and fish.
Because this is a story people have to tell themselves to make to make their agenda believable, right? Like in order for me, right? Like in order for me to hate gays, right?
Yeah.
I have to believe that it's like if I let gay go, like, uncontrolled, there's gonna be dudes fucking in church, right? Like this is.
But that's not the story I hear. The story I hear is if you find like one of the things that Republicans were saying when marriage equality was coming up is that, if we let this happen, next thing you know, they'll be having sex with dogs in the streets. It's like, dude, what is your life like that you are thinking about something like that? Like, how is that? Like, where is that happening?
We're just gonna turn on full throttle bestiality. That's how it's gonna go. Like, I don't understand your
How do you
reason,
make
your
that
rationale
leap
there.
in logic, man? It's the weirdest shit.